What's up, everybody? For your viewing pleasure. Oh no, she's sassy today. No. Oh god. Ugh. Her hair is just terrible. Every time I kiss her, it gets all up my nose. Ugh. So, anyway, on to the point for today. Sitting around the other night thinking about one of the best pieces of advice I ever really heard. Primarily just in identifying toxic relationships or toxic people or just recognizing it, and that was Richard Grannon's advice of vertical versus horizontal conversations. To recap that very shortly, a vertical conversation is where it's always a battle. Somebody's always trying to win the higher position and put you down, or you're trying to put them down and win the higher position, either or. It's always a conflict-oriented conversation. Whereas a horizontal conversation is just two friends talking, exchanging information, telling stories. Nobody's trying to one-up each other or make themselves feel superior or anything like that. Now, what you see in all toxic relationships, as I said before, is the all toxic relationships have the vertical conversation. Almost consistently, almost solely vertical conversation. You could have a conversation about the sky being blue, and a toxic individual will somehow form that into a vertical conversation. Well, this time I was in Colorado because I spent a lot of money on a plane ticket. The skies were much bluer there. Or, you know what, the stars were much more shiny there than they are here. It's where you live is not as good where I live. That type of shit. Almost solely, that's the type of conversation they have given any fucking topic. Whereas in a healthy relationship, you say the sky is blue, healthy person's gonna be like, yeah, man, it's really blue. It's really pretty today. End of end of that, and then you move on to the next conversation. So the idea here, again, is that it's kind of retouching on my video about narcissism breeds codependency. So after thinking about that vertical and horizontal conversation, I was kind of just self-reflecting and thinking, and I'll be honest, I had with the narcissist and toxic individuals that I knew, I would find myself often having those vertical conversations, not only dealing with them, but being a part of it, but just because that's how you had to address them. You couldn't, it was impossible to have a horizontal conversation. It always had to be vertical. So it definitely was a learned trait. And, obviously that, to somebody that's probably never been abused as a child or never had to deal with that as a child, it would instantly rub them the wrong way and they'd walk away. If you've dealt with that your entire life, hey, Dad, I just got an A in spelling, and, well, so-and-so got an A+, or when I was your age, you're used to it. So you're used to that style of conversation, and you can handle it, you can have it if you choose to, per se. So there's no doubt in my mind that narcissistic parents breed codependency. I can't see any manner in which codependent parents would breed codependency. I could see codependent parents breeding a narcissist because they take too much care of them, make them feel too important. But I can never see a codependent parent raising a codependent child. I really, really highly doubt. Maybe in some circumstances. But I digress. The point here also is, when you think about it just kind of metaphorically, I've seen it in my life. really. Um, I've had the luxury of having narcissistic friends and family members, and I've also had the luxury of having extremely healthy friendships, and some of them I would call family as well. Um, and they're two entirely different things. For a good, I would say, a good portion of my life, a good few years of my life, there were no narcissistic people around. Um, and then just by that fact, my codependency, or what I would perceive to be codependency, was never activated. It was never like switched on because it didn't need to be. It didn't need to be. I was comfortable. It was peaceful. It was happy. It didn't need to be kicked off. And so the metaphor with that is like if I'm standing on fuck that. If I'm swimming in a pool, somebody's swimming beside me and they're swimming perfectly fine, I have no need or desire to want to take care of them or guide them how to swim or tell them what they might be doing wrong or whatever. If I'm swimming in a pool alternatively and somebody's drowning beside me, what do you think my instinct is going to be? To either completely ignore them, which I view that if you do that, you're just a fucking inhuman. Or, you go, hey man, paddle this way, or try this, or either you have to completely save them, one or the other. And that's really how I view codependency now, is that it's kind of like an epigenetic thing. It's not there until it's triggered. If you're around healthy people, your codependency is probably going to be non-existent, because you don't need to save them. If you're around toxic people, narcissistic individuals, your codependency is going to flare because you have to save them. You don't have to, but you have the urge to save them from the training in your childhood. Why do you have the urge to save them? Because let's be honest, I mean, retarded, stupid-ass decisions where you can just sit there and watch them and you're like, wow, this is going to crash and burn terribly. So you, as rightfully as a person should, you try to do your best to try to help them out on that. Of course, with those people, it never works. A healthy individual would take that advice and heed it and try it out, or be like, hey, maybe he is right. But of course, we all know narcissists don't do that. So where's it going next with this? I tried to write stuff down so I could make a more organized video. Didn't work. Guess we'll skip back a little bit. So the other thing I saw is that with the healthy individuals that I was great friends with, like I said, there was never any vertical conversations. But that's because it kind of go back to that swimming metaphor. There wasn't any vertical conversation because there didn't have to be. And with the narcissist, I even saw like I said, I even saw myself getting involved in the vertical conversations. Not so much like defending myself, but even sometimes talking down to them, probably as a reactionary technique and to try to defend myself. But the dynamic was set up in a way that it had to be vertical conversations. So I guess really the ultimate point here, and what I'm trying to get at, is that there's two types of codependency, okay? The malignant codependent will jump in the water to save anyone, right? Somebody could be swimming along perfectly fine and they'll try to give advice, or they'll be like this and that and blah, blah, blah. And that's where that almost comes into a form of narcissism, because a narcissist would do the same thing, not because they care, but to make themselves look better. I could be swimming along perfectly fine. Narcissist comes along and jumps in the water and starts trying to say to me, bro, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. So that's where a malignant codependent and a malignant narcissist become very, very close knit in this respect of getting involved in other people's shit. And now I'll say like a benign codependency is what I was describing, in my opinion, in my life, whereas it was not interfering, it was not overly done, but it was triggered just from my training in childhood, whereas it didn't manifest at all for years and years and years, and then narcissistic people came around and then it started to manifest because that's what they do. They literally train you to be codependent. So my curiosity leading on after all that being said is I wonder, this is a stretch because healthy people or people that weren't abused or whatever will pretty much just run from a narcissist right away because they're like, oh my god, this is stupid as fuck. But if you took a healthy person, stuck them with a narcissist for long enough, on a deserted island or whatever, I guarantee you that healthy person over time is going to start to accumulate somewhat codependent traits. Guaranteed. So, all in all, really the point here is a lot of people look at codependency like, oh, there's something wrong with me. I'm so fucked up. Maybe if you're malignant and you're trying to help everybody no matter what. If you have like a benign form of codependency, where you try to help people when they actually need it, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with helping people when they actually need it. Jumping in and trying to save somebody when they don't need it, or it's going to hurt yourself, is where the problem comes in. We have a complainer back there, apparently. Hold on, let's see if I can get her. Boo! What are you doing? Nothing? Okay. So anyway, just kind of revisiting the whole narcissism breeds codependency. It really was just struck off by, I was thinking about the vertical and horizontal conversation, and I was like, man, shit. And I was totally having vertical conversations with her, even from myself, but yet with the healthy people that I know. All horizontal. So it brings it out in you. Narcissists have a way of bringing it out in you. A little bit strange. But anyway, hope you enjoyed. And I have another video coming up here shortly about the 3 trilemmas in life. That would be an interesting one. I'm trying to figure out how to work Google Hangout, whatever deal, so you can actually view my screen. It's complex enough, I need to make a PowerPoint. So look forward to that, and see you later.